Good morning and welcome to the EPL Index Transfer Daily. It is Tuesday, the 11th of June. It is 3 days to the Euro start, 3 days until the transfer window opens. And Chelsea are being talked about an awful lot here, ladies and gents. According to Give Me Sport, Michael Olise, the Crystal Palace winger, 22 years old, has agreed personal terms with Chelsea. Now, that's one that's long been rumoured, hasn't it? They looked like they were going to get him last summer, then it didn't happen. At least they signed a new contract at Crystal Palace. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. And Give Me Sport even mentioned that they're just all around just scheduling payments for the release clause for Palace, so one to keep an eye on. And also at Chelsea, Levi Colwill, according to Florian Plettenberg, he's not the first choice, important to say, but is Bayern's backup choice at centre-back if they cannot secure Jonathan Tah from Bayern Munich. So it will be interesting to see again what happens there. A few others mentioned, and definitely there's a London feel again, that Fulham, despite that bid we got from David Ornstein and Bayern Munich, Sky Sports are saying that they value him at nearly double the £30 million bid that was placed. Does feel like a game of brinkmanship or trying to get the most value. Everyone expects Palidia to end up at Bayern Munich, but I don't blame them. It's Fulham's job to maximise the asset value. And also Crystal Palace, we talked about Eze the other day, didn't we? He's set to go to the Euros. Interesting to see if he stars or he starts at times. But United and Spurs, according to Football Insider, are looking at the player, which I don't know. Spurs have been the ones that keep getting mentioned, but we know his release clause is around £63 million. We'll have to see. It's going to be a later summer one with that, especially with the Euros, isn't it? So one to mark, as it were. According to a lot of the Spanish outlets, I can pick any of them. Relivo here saying that Newcastle are no longer pursuing Marmadashvili, the Valencia and Georgia goalkeeper, because of the price tag that they were refusing to offer above 25 million, whereas Valencia valued him at closer to 35 million euros, depending on, how well you get him exchanged at Tesco. And that seems pretty obvious, to be honest, because look at James Trafford and the offer they've had rejected for him. They're expected to come back. In the capital as well, West Ham, they were rejected by Bruno. It looks like Luis Guilherme is in London. We'll see what happens with that. There's expected movement on that one this week, but the Udinese defender, Argentinian Nuem Perez, 23 years old now, that West Ham are apparently, according to Di Maurizio, looking at him, which would make sense because Bonner's gone. They've got rejected by Bruno. You expect a central defender to end up at the Olympic Stadium, don't you, this summer? Brighton look like they have, as we said, it's fully expected to announce, and I'm probably going to butcher his name, but Fabian Herzila, the 31-year-old who guided Sao Paulo. The Guardian has said they're expected to announce him in the next few days, which obviously, as we know, with Graham Potter, he was linked as well. But it looks like, according to the Guardian, at the same time, he is one of the top targets for Leicester. So, yeah, full change there in the Premier League management game. And also in the Premier League management game, Pep Guardiola, a few outlets reported this, doesn't have to be just one, that he's rejected the idea he would ever return to Barcelona, said that chapter's done. And according to the Times, who obviously had about Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Thomas Tuchel meeting and that not going anywhere, United are unlikely to appoint Pochettino as well. The Times' headline is, so could Ten Hag stay in a job by almost default? But obviously everyone knows the review, what's been going on, but there we are. Julian Alvarez has said he is comfortable and happy at Manchester City, and a lot of, again, outlets have posted this because it's about his comments, but it did finish it with, we'll see what happens, which has obviously fueled rumours around him and Chelsea, PSG, Atletico Madrid, all the clubs that have been linked to them, and it's well known he is looking to get more minutes this season, so that'll be one to keep an eye on. Speaking of Atletico Madrid, according to the Mail, they are interested in Pierre Højbjerg, the Spurs 28-year-old Danish midfielder. Seems to be very much on the out with Ange, so he's expected to move on. And the suggestions are, according to the Mail, 15 million is what it may take to get it done. Everton are everywhere in the various outlets, mainly because of the ownership. There's definitely offers on the table, according to various outlets, for Moshiri to consider. One of the big things the Telegraph had, that John Textor, the Crystal Palace co-owner, has pulled out, mainly because he had to obviously sell his share in Crystal Palace, and also there weren't any exclusivity talks with Moshiri as wanted, which is understandable because Moshiri's going to look to get the most he can. It's going to be debt, but it's got to get paid off, hasn't it? So there you go. Sporting Lisbon want Chiquinho, apparently, from Wolves, according to Ojogo, prepared to pay good money. And speaking of sort of Portuguese-based but Brazilian internationals, Chelsea have apparently agreed personal terms now with Pedro Lima at 17 years old. He only made his debut for Sporting Recife in January, according to HITC. So, yeah, that is one that's expected to happen. Brendan Aronson is, according to The Athletic, coming back. I mean, he was on loan at Union Berlin, who had a horrendous season. It was fully expected with Leeds' financial issues, he would move on and need to raise cash, don't they? But apparently, he will play a part, according to The Athletic, in their promotion charge. That's one to keep an eye on. And a good way to finish is a story that's been bubbling and is now seen to really gaining traction. Fabrizio Romano, but a few others have got this, it's important to say. Juventus are speaking to Aston Villa about Douglas Luiz, the 26-year-old Brazilian midfielder. Now, Villa's FFP, PSR issues, if you want to call them that, are well known, aren't they? So they are apparently looking to raise funds. You just wonder if this, a surprising deal, could be the one. Now, the big thing that keeps getting mentioned, and we kind of alluded to it the other day, is Villa want players in the deal, because that obviously they need numbers for Champions League. So there's even talk that a few Lang, one of their midfielders, and Weston McKennie, so a couple of midfielders, are linked in that deal to get Douglas Luiz to Juventus. It's a strange one because it just doesn't seem to go away, and you wonder if these rumours are being fueled by the FFP PSR deadline, but we won't have long to wait to find out realistically, will we? Because that transfer window is set to open any day soon. There's still the same talks like we talked about as in Southgate to United. But on Tuesday, 11th of June, that was your EPL Index transfer daily.